Hello, my name is Eric Morris, and I want to thank everybody for spending the time to watch my video yesterday. And I just thought I would come out with another video today with some other thoughts. Some of you may know me from Eric Morris and Company and Von Morris for door hardware, but again, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. So a little bit of background. I've been traveling in China for close to 30 years, and I've lived here full-time in Shanghai, China for 10 years. So I've been here in China throughout this entire outbreak, pandemic. So I had a question yesterday, which was, can I share a little bit of my experience, what it was like living through, especially the earlier days of the pandemic. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we had actually, my family and I had gone on a little Chinese New Year vacation with a group of friends to Guangzhou, Guangdong province down in the south. By the time we actually boarded the train to travel down to Guangzhou, masks were already being recommended for any travel, and before we entered the train station, our temperatures were checked. At that point, we were traveling with disposable masks. By the time we got down to Guangzhou, within one day, everything had closed down. There were no attractions to go and see, no monuments to go and see. Everything was pretty much shut down. Within 3 days of hanging out in a hotel with a group of friends and playing cards every day, two of our friends who are doctors were called back to their hospital. So we managed to buy some very few available airline tickets, and we took a flight out of a military airport from Foshan in Guangdong back to Shanghai. To enter the airport, you got in line and you had your temperature checked. Then to go from the entry hall to check-in, you had your temperature checked. Then we were taken by bus from the entry hall to the gate, and then before we entered the building to go to the gate, we were again checked. Our temperatures were checked. They're all non-contact. They scan your forehead or they scan your wrist. By that point, things were starting to get a little bit nerve-wracking. It was the early days, so for me especially, I don't read Chinese. Trying to find information, it was very, very difficult to find information. There wasn't a lot of discussion of it in the West. So, you know, if I looked on CNN, if I looked on any kind of Western news, there really was not a whole lot of information out there. So we arrived back in Shanghai, and we get to our housing compound, and, you know, we walk up, face masks on, and of course temperature checks. Within 2 or 3 days of returning, this was on January 26th, within a couple of days of returning, pretty much every housing compound, whether it be apartment buildings, low-rise, high-rise, or villas, you know, individual single homes, all issued these little certificates or passes. Anybody who was not a resident of the housing compound was not allowed in. So every time you left and come back, you need to show your pass. And today on, what is today, March 24th, today on March 24th, it is still the case. Every day when I go home, I have to show my pass at the gate and have my temperature checked. So, you know, everyday life, You need to go out and buy bread. You need to go out and buy life's necessities. Anywhere we go, anywhere we've gone, you wear a mask. So, this mask. Masks. Something that's very important about masks. They all have a wire up here that goes over the bridge of your nose. It goes over the bridge of your nose, and it's to improve the seal. It does two things. Certainly it helps to draw air through the mask and not around the mask. But for those of us who wear glasses, it also helps to keep your glasses from fogging up, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. So early on, I took a couple of trips to, a local supermarket. Very, very few people out. In the beginning, supermarkets, other stores were not checking temperatures, but as probably the beginning of February 1st, 2nd, everywhere started checking temperatures. I took a drive over to a local Costco, which had just opened probably 6 months ago. I saw people in Costco with face masks like this, or industrial ventilators like this, full plastic face shields, people in disposable raincoats. I think the disposable raincoat maybe is going a bit overboard, but if it makes you feel a little bit safe, less at risk, maybe it's okay. I see a lot of people carrying and wearing disposable gloves, especially we have temperature checkpoints on the highway. Anytime you cross a border from one province to another, there are temperature checks. They're all wearing gloves. They're out on the front line, and every day interacting with thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. When we first reopened, got back to work, my first day driving to the factory from home, typically it takes me 30 minutes, 35 minutes to drive from home to work, and about the same to get back. It took me 2.5 hours on the first day. There were 3 checkpoints, temperature checks, and this is a certificate I have that shows that I work in Jiangsu province, in Kunshan is the name of my town. So when I go to either come into Kunshan, I was allowed to come in, or when I go to return to Shanghai, this is the reason I'm traveling outside of Shanghai. So the first day it took 2.5 hours to get to work. It took 3.5 hours to get home. I've since discovered other border crossings which just have less traffic, so the lines are shorter, so the time is shorter. Only as of this past Saturday did the temperature checkpoints for crossing borders from Jiangsu to Shanghai get eliminated, and now we can drive as normal. Recommendations here are wear masks. Recommendations here are wash your hands frequently, but certainly anytime you come from anywhere outside your home into your home. Wipe your doorknobs, wipe your faucet handles, wipe your car keys, your car handle, anything that you're going to touch, wipe it with alcohol wipes. Another recommendation is do not touch your face. And that one is a really hard habit to break. I think we don't realize how many times during the day we wipe our nose, for me, I stroke a beard, scratch your eye. That's a hard habit to break. So, it was all uncharted territory. Nobody knew what was going to be the next day. And, you know, day by day, we went through it. I think, as I mentioned yesterday, there was a lot of anxiety around a lot of what was going on, because we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know from minute to minute, hour to hour, what the regulations were for us to get back to work. But again, as I said yesterday, it was just the difference between sitting and agonizing over what you can't control and what you don't know and you have no way of knowing, or picking something that, okay, I know I need to find masks to provide to my employees at my factory. It was a government mandate. So where am I going to find the masks? They were in short supply. They've since become a little bit less short supply. So, you know, when we were able to find masks, wow, that felt good. That was a relief. And it just dawned on me that instead of trying to focus on things that I can't change and make me angry, and even as angry as I am, it's not going to make a difference in what's going on. Being happy that I found masks, and then moving on to, I need to find hand sanitizer, I need to find, and then one by one you can check these off, and you know, it just gives you a feeling of having a little bit of control over your life, and it's one of those things I can do and I can make happen. I see a lot of discussion today, recently, on all kinds of social media, and you know, there's finger pointing, and I think now is not the time for finger pointing. I think now is the time to do what you can to keep yourself safe, do what you can to keep those around you safe, and just, that's it. Again, as I alluded to or mentioned in yesterday's video, I feel that I have a responsibility to keep myself safe. That in turn keeps me from carrying a virus back and introducing it into my family, keeps me from carrying a virus and introducing it into my workplace. And you know, while I may not be able to have any impact or influence at the highest levels or any level of government about what decisions they make to do or not to do, you know, that's something I can't control, that's something I can't change. However, something that I can change is how much I expose my family to risk, how much I expose my employees to risk, how much I expose myself to risk. And the decisions that I make affect my family, affect my employees. Now, I come into contact with probably 20 or 30 people per day. If I make wise decisions and keep myself safe from exposure, then those 30 people I come into contact with benefit from my wise decision. I have to hope and I have to trust those around me, my employees, that they're making smart decisions. And if they're making smart decisions, they have a positive benefit, a positive effect on all of those around them. And it's this interconnectedness that, in this case, if everybody's making wise decisions, this interconnectedness is going to help stop the spread. And I think that's what's most important at this point. You know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a government official. I can only do what I can do, and I can only control what I can control. So, me in my little way, I do what I can do, and if I think that we can come out of this and we can come out of this together and safe, but it's going to take work, it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice, but I think that it's doable. You know, China went from just unbelievable growth in number of cases per day to, it's certainly now, yesterday I think there were 4 new cases in Wuhan and a bunch of imported cases. It can be stopped, but like I said, it's going to take sacrifice from everybody. So, you know, thank you for listening to my ramblings. I certainly hope that it's beneficial to somebody, and I look forward to your feedback. I look forward to having you share it, and you know, hopefully there will be more. Well, not hopefully, definitely there will be more to come. Please, everybody, wash your hands, wash your face, be aware, stay safe, and I'll see you again.